They won't see it coming. The moment you stop living on autopilot, the moment you stop doing just enough to survive, the moment you become obsessed with improving yourself, everything changes. Because the world doesn't belong to the talented, it belongs to the relentless. There's a version of you that you haven't even met yet. A version that is sharper, wiser, stronger, and unstoppable. But you'll never get to shake hands with that version until you decide to go all in on yourself. Not halfway, not when it's convenient, not only on Mondays. You need to become obsessed. See, improvement isn't an event. It's not a one-time thing you try when life goes bad. It's a lifestyle. It's a fire that you feed every single day. And once it's lit, it won't let you sleep. It won't let you settle. It won't let you live like you used to. Obsession is greater than motivation. That single idea can change your life. If you truly understand what it means, motivation is fleeting. It's like a spark. It lights up for a moment. It feels powerful, and then it fades. It comes when the sun is shining, when you're feeling good, when everything lines up just right. But life doesn't care about your mood. Life doesn't care if you're tired, hurt, or uninspired. If you rely only on motivation, you'll only take action when conditions are perfect, and that's why so many people stay stuck. They wait for the right time, the right feeling, the right level of energy to begin. But obsessed people, they don't wait. They don't need to feel ready. They move, whether they feel like it or not. Obsession is rooted in purpose. It's not a temporary motion, it's a state of being. It's when the goal becomes so deeply woven into your identity that stopping is no longer an option. When you're obsessed with improving yourself, you don't need to talk yourself into doing the work. You do it because it's who you are. You don't check the clock, you don't count the hours, you don't say, I'll start Monday. You start now, and you don't stop. That's the difference between those who dream and those who transform. Motivation can get you started. Obsession keeps you going. When others take breaks, you're still at it. When others quit, you double down. Obsession doesn't mean burning yourself out. It means being so laser focused, so committed to becoming better, that every excuse becomes irrelevant. You start filtering your decisions through a new lens. Will this make me stronger? Will this bring me closer to my goal? If not, it's gone. Because once you're obsessed, anything that doesn't feed your growth becomes a distraction. And let's be honest, there are a million distractions: comfort, entertainment, doubt, fear, laziness, comparison, validation. Motivation gets crushed under the weight of those things. Obsession, though, it cuts right through. It doesn't need hype music or a motivational video. It doesn't wait for New Year's resolutions. It wakes up early. It shows up when you're tired. It does the work when no one's watching. It's a voice in your head that says, we're not done yet. People will call you intense. They'll say, you're doing too much. But that's only because they don't understand the power of being obsessed. They haven't seen what it can build. They haven't lived it. But you will, because you're not here to be average. You're not here to repeat the same year over and over again and call it a life. You're here to evolve. You're here to win battles within yourself that no one else even sees. Obsession turns dreams into plans and plans into action. It removes maybe from your vocabulary. It turns discipline into second nature. You stop negotiating with your goals. You stop needing outside permission to go all in. You no longer need someone to remind you to stay focused, because focus becomes your natural state. The truth is, the version of you that you want to become is only unlocked through obsession. You won't reach it by casually trying. You won't find it in comfort. You find it when you commit like your life depends on it. Because in a way it does. The life you're capable of living is waiting for you on the other side of that obsession. And the only question left is, will you choose it? Small wins build momentum. That's a principle most people overlook because they're too busy chasing the big dramatic breakthrough. They want instant success, overnight transformation, the life-changing moment that turns everything around. But real progress, lasting transformation doesn't work like that. It's not flashy. It's not loud. It's built one small action at a time. One choice, one step, one win. And when you begin to stack those wins, something powerful happens. You begin to trust yourself. The most successful people in the world don't get there by doing huge things once. They get there by doing small things consistently when no one is watching. That gym session you almost skipped but didn't. That book you decided to read instead of scrolling. That hard conversation you chose to have instead of avoiding. Those are small wins. And while they might not feel like much in the moment, over time, they change the trajectory of your entire life. One small win might not be visible to the outside world, but inside something shifts, confidence begins to grow, discipline starts to harden, momentum begins to build. And momentum is everything. Momentum doesn't come from motivation, it comes from movement. The hardest part is starting. But when you stack one win after another, you begin to move faster, think clearer, feel stronger. It's like pushing a heavy ball uphill at first. It takes all your effort. But once it starts to roll, you realize you're not pushing as hard, but you're moving faster. That's what momentum does. It works for you. It multiplies your efforts. But it starts with small daily decisions to do the right thing, even when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, or unnoticed. You don't need a life overhaul to change. You just need one powerful day. And then another. Change isn't built on intensity, it's built on consistency. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they give up before momentum kicks in. They underestimate how powerful small wins really are. They want to see all the progress at once. But that's not how growth works. Growth is invisible at first. It happens internally through mindset shifts, increased discipline, improved focus, and then one day the results show up. People call it sudden success, but it's not. It's accumulated effort finally becoming visible. Every win is a message to your mind, I follow through. That changes your identity. When you win the day, even in small ways, you start to believe in your own potential. And belief is everything. Belief fuels action, action builds results, and results create momentum. That's the cycle. That's how people go from ordinary to unstoppable, not through some miracle, but through tiny decisions that build trust, discipline, and energy. They create their own momentum by committing to excellence in the small things. So stop waiting for the big break. Stop looking for the shortcut. Build your momentum with what you have where you are. Do one thing today that your future self will thank you for, then do another tomorrow, and keep going. Don't break the chain. Protect the streak. Every time you show up, you're strengthening your momentum muscle, and the stronger it gets, the easier it becomes to keep moving forward. That's the secret. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters consistently. And when you master that, when small wins become your habit, there is nothing you cannot achieve. Because by then, you're not just moving, you're unstoppable. You are your only competition. That truth, when fully embraced, becomes one of the most liberating and empowering realizations in life. In a world obsessed with comparison, likes, followers, rankings, titles, it's easy to fall into the trap of measuring your worth based on where others stand. You look to your left and right, trying to figure out how well you're doing based on someone else's journey. But comparison is the thief of joy, and more importantly, the killer of progress, because the moment your focus shifts from your own growth to someone else's success, you lose sight of the only person you were ever meant to beat, the person you were yesterday. When you make self-improvement about competition with others, you chase things for the wrong reasons. You chase validation instead of purpose. You chase applause instead of authenticity. You start performing instead of transforming. And in that race, even if you win, you lose, because someone will always have more money, more talent, more opportunity, more success. But that was never the point. The point was to wake up each day and ask, how can I become a better version of myself today than I was yesterday? That's the real race. That's the real standard. Growth is deeply personal. Your path won't look like anyone else's because your pain, your dreams, your lessons, they're all unique. And that's why comparing your progress to someone else's timeline is not just unfair, it's unproductive. When you begin to compete with who you were yesterday, you unlock a new level of accountability. You stop blaming the world, your past, or other people. You start looking inward. You ask harder questions. You push yourself not for applause, but for alignment. You begin to crave growth, not praise. The person in the mirror becomes your coach, your critic, and your competition. That version of you that made excuses yesterday, today you outwork him. The one who was afraid last week, today you confront what he ran from. The you who settled last month, today you raise your standards. That's how you build an elite mindset. You realize that you're not trying to be better than anyone else. You're trying to become the person you were meant to be. You're in competition with your potential. And when you live this way, something powerful happens. The noise quiets. The pressure to impress fades. You stop needing permission to improve because you already know why you're doing it. You stop comparing your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 20. You start running your race at your pace with your purpose leading the way. And you realize that when you focus on your own lane, you move faster, feel lighter, and perform better because energy isn't being wasted on envy or insecurity, it's being invested in growth. You don't need to prove anything to anyone but yourself. And the moment you understand that, you become dangerous. You no longer need recognition to feel fulfilled. You don't need validation to feel valuable. You recognize your worth in the work you do behind the scenes, in the discipline no one sees, in the sacrifices no one applauds, in the progress that only you can measure. That is where confidence is built. That is where greatness is born. So keep your eyes on your own path. Measure your growth by your own metrics. Compete with yesterday, improve today, and outgrow tomorrow. Because when you make yourself your only competition, you'll always have a clear target and you'll always have a reason to keep going. Your environment shapes your progress more than you think. You can have the best intentions, the strongest goals, and even a powerful mindset. But if your environment is filled with distractions, negativity, or people who don't believe in growth, your potential will constantly be under attack. We often underestimate how much influence our surroundings have on our habits, our thoughts, and ultimately our future. The truth is, your environment either pushes you forward or pulls you back. There is no neutral ground. Look around at the people in your life. Are they pushing you to become better, or are they keeping you comfortable, distracted, and stagnant? It's a hard question, but it's necessary because growth is uncomfortable. It challenges the norm. It threatens those who have settled for average. And if you surround yourself with people who are content staying the same, they will resent your desire to grow, not out of hatred, but out of fear that your progress will highlight their lack of it. That's why improving your environment isn't always about geography. It's about energy. The energy of the people, the conversations, the habits that surround you every day. You don't just need people who like you, you need people who lift you. Sometimes improving your environment means cutting people off. Not out of arrogance, but out of necessity. You can't grow in a garden full of weeds. You can't fly in a cage. You have to protect your energy the way you protect your goals, ruthlessly. That might mean spending less time with those who drain your focus. That might mean changing where you spend your evenings, what you consume, what voices you listen to, and what routine. Every part of your environment is either watering your growth or slowly drying it out. And it's not just about people, it's also about systems. The structure you build around your life will determine how far you go. If your environment is chaotic, unorganized, and full of temptation, discipline becomes a constant battle. But when your space supports your purpose, everything feels more aligned. A quiet space to think, a routine that minimizes distractions, a setup that makes it easier to do the right thing than the wrong one. These aren't luxuries, they're tools. Tools that support your focus, discipline, and consistency. Sometimes the most powerful change you can make isn't inside of you, it's around you. When your environment is aligned with your goals, progress becomes natural. You don't have to fight so hard. You don't have to swim against the current. You just flow in the direction you were meant to go. That's why people who want massive transformation often begin by cleaning their space, reevaluating their relationships, and setting new boundaries. Because they know success isn't just about mindset, it's also about atmosphere. The environment you choose is either your secret weapon or your silent killer. It's the background music of your daily life. And if it's full of noise, doubt, gossip, laziness, or chaos, you'll feel it even if you don't notice it right away. But if your environment is built for growth, if it's filled with clarity, encouragement, challenge, and discipline, then even on hard days, you'll move forward. You'll rise, not because it's easy, but because you've built a space that demands your best. So take control of your environment. Don't wait for it to change. Design it. Create one that reflects the level you want to rise to, not the one you've been stuck in. Because once your environment starts working with you, not against you, you'll finally have the space, energy, and clarity to become everything you were meant to be. Discipline must become your lifestyle, not just a temporary phase you turn to when you're desperate for change. Motivation comes and goes. It's unreliable. It fades when things get tough, when life gets inconvenient, when the results don't come fast enough. But discipline stays. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It moves based on decision, not emotion. And once you make discipline your default setting, you stop relying on willpower. You don't have to get hyped up to do what needs to be done. You just do it because it's who you are now. Most people only act when they feel like it. That's why they stay stuck. They wait for inspiration, for the perfect moment, for the emotional surge that finally gets them moving. But real growth doesn't come from those rare bursts of energy. It comes from doing the hard things when they're boring, when they're invisible, when no one is clapping. That's what separates those who improve from those who dream. The disciplined do it regardless of applause. They do it because they've built it into their identity. Every action you repeat is casting a vote for the type of person you are becoming. When you show up every day, not because you feel like it, but because you've committed to it, you're casting votes for a stronger version of yourself. And those votes add up. One workout doesn't change your body. One focused hour doesn't change your career. One journal entry doesn't rewire your mind. But stacked over weeks and months, that's when transformation happens. That's when people start asking, how did you change so much? And your answer won't be magic or motivation. It'll be discipline. Discipline is freedom in disguise. At first, it feels like a cage. It feels like rules, like sacrifice. But over time, it becomes the thing that gives you power. The power to say no to distractions, the power to follow through on your goals, the power to build something solid when others are chasing shortcuts. When you live without discipline, your life is reactive. You wake up responding to whatever the world throws at you. But when you live with discipline, you dictate the terms of your day. You control your energy, your time, your focus. There are two kinds of pain in life, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. One is hard now, the other is hard later. One builds you, the other breaks you. When you choose discipline daily, you're choosing a future that looks different from your past. You're choosing to evolve, to become stronger, sharper, more intentional. It won't always feel good, but it will always be worth it. Because every disciplined choice you make strengthens your character. It makes you someone who can be counted on, not just by others, but by yourself. You'll start to trust your own word. That's the real win. When you say you're going to do something and then actually do it, even when it's inconvenient. That's how self-respect is born. That's how belief in yourself becomes unshakable. And belief is the engine behind all greatness. You cannot reach your full potential if you keep breaking promises to yourself. Discipline keeps you honest. It keeps you moving. It becomes the quiet force that pushes you forward even on days when nothing seems to be working. So if you want to change your life, Don't wait for motivation, build discipline, build it one decision at a time. Get up when you don't feel like it, train when you're tired, focus when distractions scream for your attention, and do it not just today, but every day. Eventually, discipline will stop being something you force. It will become something you live. And when it does, there will be nothing beyond your reach. The journey of self-improvement is not a short sprint. It's a lifelong marathon. And the only way to truly win that race is through consistency. It's easy to be committed for a week. It's easy to show up strong for a few days when the inspiration is fresh and the energy is high. But true transformation comes from the relentless repetition of small, focused actions over time. It's not about being extreme for a moment, but about being consistent for a life, because it's what you do repeatedly, not occasionally, that shapes your reality. Every habit, every routine, every small effort adds up. When you commit to getting just 1% better each day, those tiny gains compound into massive growth. But you must understand this: consistency is not about perfection. It's about persistence. You will stumble. You will have days when you fall short. But the people who grow are the ones who don't quit after a bad day. They don't throw away the week because one moment was off. They reset, they refocus, they continue. That's what makes consistency powerful. It has the strength to carry you through the highs and the lows. Most people give up because they confuse slow progress with failure, but progress by its nature is often invisible in the moment. You won't always see the results right away. That workout you did today won't transform your body overnight. That book you read this week won't change your mind in a single sitting. But if you keep showing up, if you keep doing the work, even when you don't see the results, eventually the results will show up. That's the magic of consistency. It rewards the patient, it rewards the disciplined, it rewards the committed. Consistency builds momentum, and momentum changes everything. When you do the same thing day after day, it becomes automatic. What once felt difficult becomes your new normal. You don't have to think about it, you just do it. That's how champions are made. They don't rise because of luck or random bursts of energy. They rise because they've trained themselves to be consistent, to be dependable, to show up no matter what. They've mastered the art of not quitting, and that alone puts them ahead of 90% of the world. When you stay consistent, you build trust with yourself, and that trust is powerful. It's the foundation of self-belief. It's knowing that you can count on you, that when you say you're going to do something, you follow through. That's how confidence is built, not through hype or bravado, but through consistency. Confidence comes from a track record of showing up over and over, long after the mood has left. And when you have that kind of consistency, you become unshakable. You also begin to separate yourself from the masses, because the truth is, most people don't stick with anything long enough to see it through. They jump from one thing to another, hoping for quick results, only to abandon the path when it gets difficult or slow. But when you're consistent, you outlast them. You don't need to be the most talented or the most intelligent. You just need to be the one who stays in the game. And when you stay long enough, your results will eventually silence every doubt, every critic, even the ones in your own mind. Consistency doesn't just change your habits, it changes your identity. It shifts the way you see yourself. You no longer feel like someone trying to improve. You are someone who improves. You live it, breathe it, embody it. That's the power of consistency. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, but it's unstoppable. It will carry you farther than talent, luck, or motivation ever could. So keep showing up, keep doing the work, because if you stay consistent, nothing can stop your growth.